This week we have the Parshat where we're starting to build Klal Yisrael. Starting to build Klal Yisrael. And we know Yaakov Avinu comes to Haran, comes to Lavan, and he makes a deal with Lavan. He's going to work for Lavan for 7 years for Rachel Bitcha Aktana, for Rachel, your younger daughter. And he's as clear as anything. He tells him black and white what he's looking for. So there shouldn't be any mistakes. Rachel, right? There's no other Rachel at home? Fine. Bitcha, don't get me somebody that's not your daughter. So it's got to be Rachel and your daughter. Haktana, the young one. Because he understood that Lavan is a gangster. He understood that Lavan is a very duplicitous fellow, and he's going to, at any opportunity, he will try to trick Yaakov out of having Rachel as a wife. So therefore, he goes ahead and he's very, very clear with him to make sure that there's no mistakes that are possible. And comes the day of the wedding, after Yaakov Avinu sweated away for 7 long years. And what happens? That night, Lavan makes a wedding. It's all night, it's all dark. Nobody could see anything. And he brings the daughter Leah. Now, Rachel knew that this was going to happen. Rachel had a choice. What should she do? Should she let her sister be embarrassed in front of everybody there that night? Which means to say she's going to come in with her wedding dress. Yaakov Avinu has already saw who Lavan is. So here he gave signs. He told Rachel, listen, I'm going to give you signs. You know what those signs were? Those were the halachot. They were the halachot of chala, they were the halachot of nida, and they were the halachot of ner, of the candles of Shabbat. These were the 3 halachot that he told him, but very extensively. And he told her very simply, under the chuppah, I'm going to give you a little test. I'm going to ask you about these halachot, about these laws. If you know these laws, I know you're Rachel. If you don't know these laws, I know this is not Rachel. I know Lavan is pulling a trick on me. So, this is what they do. But Rachel says to herself, I cannot imagine or fathom that my sister is not going to go in front of everyone, and as she's in front of everyone, Yaakov is going to notice that it's not her. They're going to force her to take off her wedding gown and give it to me. And how embarrassed is this girl going to be? How embarrassed is Leah going to be? So she decides that she's going to train her and teach her these halachot, just in a nonchalant conversation. And that's what she does. Yaakov goes ahead and asks the questions as Leah comes in, and the answers are all there. It's wonderful. Wow, Lavan is an honest guy. For one time in his life, he's an honest guy. Look at this. This lady knows all the answers. It's wonderful. But the Torah tells us, Vayhi baboker v'hinehi Leah. Yaakov wakes up in the morning and oh my goodness, it's not Rachel, it's Leah. It's unbelievable. He switched everything on him. And Yaakov says, Lavan, what did you do? What did you do? So what does Lavan answer? Lo ya'aseh ken bimkomenu. You can't do such a thing in our place. Latet et hatzira, to give the young one in front of the older one. It doesn't make sense. Maybe by you guys it works. You were the younger one. You took the brachot first. Maybe from Esav. Maybe in your circles it works. But by us, we're finer people. There's a protocol. The older one goes first. The younger one goes next. It doesn't work this way. You can't skip. And that's the answer that Lavan gives Yaakov. But you think to yourself, gentlemen, you think to yourself, the amazing Mesirut Nefesh, the amazing Mesiras Nefesh that took place, that Rachel had to do. She literally gave up her entire future. To be with Yaakov Avinu means to be the one to build Klal Yisrael. She's willing to give that up And it's amazing, almost nonchalantly. She just gives it up. Now, Rachel at the time never thought. She never thought for a moment that Yaakov was going to marry her. Why would he marry two sisters? Doesn't make sense. It's not nice. It's not appropriate, right? Why would he do that? So when Rachel was giving Leah the simanim, when she was giving her the signs, she understood that she's giving up the entire future, her entire future. And in a sense, it's something that we applaud and it's something that we give so much kavod to Rachel. How was she willing to do something like that, something so great? But I want to ask you a question. I want to analyze what Rachel did over here. And maybe, if we zero in what Rachel did, maybe it's not so great what she did. Why? Because think about it. You have somebody doing chesed. She's doing chesed. She's doing a tremendous chesed with her sister. But imagine I go to you and I take $100 from your pocket and I give it to a poor person. Is that considered chesed? I took from you money. It's like Robin Hood. Takes from the poor, gives to the liberals, right? The liberals. They want to take from the poor. They won't take from their own money, but they'll take from the poor, they'll take from the rich, and they'll give to the poor. Take from the rich and give to the poor. Is that a chesed? That's not a chesed. Because a chesed that affects another person, a chesed on an account of another person, is not a true chesed. That's not a good chesed. So Rachel, you did a wonderful thing for your sister. But excuse me, where's Yaakov in this picture? What happened to Yaakov? Why aren't you sensitive to Yaakov? Why are you only sensitive to Leah? Where's Yaakov in all of this? He got cheated out of 7 years of work. You ever thought about this? 7 years of work. This man worked 7 years day and night. He describes his work. Yaakov Avinu describes the difficulty of his work. And now all of a sudden, Rachel decides to be a tzaddiket. She decides to be a righteous woman. And bingo, she's going to leave Yaakov in the dark. She's going to put on the light for Leah. And that's it. And Yaakov, now 7 years down the drain. How do we comprehend that? Where is the tzidkut? Where is the righteousness on Rachel's part? But I want to make the question bigger, because obviously God felt that this was a tremendous tzidkut. God felt, HaKadosh Baruch Hu felt that this was such a righteous act that HaKadosh Baruch Hu grants Rachel something amazing. See, when Klal Yisroel is kicked out of Eretz Yisrael and they're going to Babel, it's such a dark time in Klal Yisrael's history that all the Avot begin, all the forefathers begin to advocate on Klal Yisrael's behalf. And you have Avraham Avinu that begins to advocate on Klal Yisrael's behalf. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Avraham, I can't listen. And you have Yitzchak that comes. And Yaakov that comes. And you have Moshe that comes. And each one HaKadosh Baruch Hu turns down. Each one HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not interested in listening to. And finally, Rachel Imenu gets up and says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, my children, Mama Rachel. She begins to cry. And she says, God, how could you do this to my children? How do you kick them out of Eretz Yisrael and burn down the Beis HaMikdash? And out of everybody, who does HaKadosh Baruch Hu respond to? Only Rachel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Min ikolech mi bechi, ve'inayich mi dimo. Stop your voice from crying and your eyes from tearing. Ki yesachar lefulasech v'shavu banim legvulam. There's a reward for what you did, Rachel. V'shavu banim legvulam. Your children are going to come back. Rachel, you're different. Everybody else I couldn't listen to. But you did something so extraordinary that I cannot listen to your cries. Please stop crying. So obviously, in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's eyes, what Rachel did is enormous. which magnifies the question, where is Yaakov in this whole picture, in this whole scenario? What's happening to Yaakov? How come he's ignored? So I want to tell you an answer with a Maisa from Rabbi Yeshua Brim. Rabbi Yeshua Brim was Rosh Hashiva of Ruzhin. And Rabbi Yeshua Brim was a person that really cared about his community. And there was an almana, there was a widow, that Rabbi Yeshua prepared someone to go ahead and conduct the Seder for them. Pesach night. She lost her husband, young children. So he hired somebody to go prepare, to go do the Seder, to lead the Seder for them. And Rabbi Yeshua Brim comes Seder night. He says, you know what, let me just check up on the almana, let me make sure everything is running well, and I'm going to go straight to my house. So he told his wife and his children he's going to be a couple of minutes late because he wants to stop by in the almana's house, in the widow's house, to see how she's doing, to make sure that the Seder is beginning and it's starting well, and then he's going to come home. He comes over there and he's waiting 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. The guy didn't show up. He tells the mother, the almana, bring me a cup of wine. We're going to start. We're going to start the Seder. So he begins the Seder. He begins with Kadesh, Orchatz, Manishtana. All the kids are asking questions. They're very excited. Wow, the Rosh Hashiva is here doing the Seder with them. What could be bad? Right? This is amazing. The guy didn't show up. Baruch Hashem, we have the Rosh Hashiva doing the Seder with us. So he does the Seder. He ends at 10 o'clock and he rushes back home. He comes home and he tells his wife, bring me the Kiddush cup, let's go. And she said, well, what happened? He says, there's no time to speak. I can't explain to you what happened. Just get me the Kiddush cup. I got to make sure that I'm going to reach the Afikoman at the right time. Let's just start after the Afikoman, after the Leila Seder, I'll explain to you exactly what happened. And Kachava, that's what happened. They went to the Seder. They made it to the Afikoman. And then his wife says, my dear husband, I want to understand something. You know, you went ahead and you did a Chesed with an almana. And of course, it's a tremendous Chesed. But what happened to the Chesed of your family? Your family was waiting here all night. What happened to us? Why aren't we part of the Chesed? So he tells her, that's a very, very good question. It's a good question. It's a good question where a lot of us are faced with this question so many times. What do you do? Am I supposed to do a chesed with them and then leave these people out? I can't do both. So what happens now? So he says, I want to tell you. I'm going to tell you a story. When we were young, what we did with the Chazon Ish. And from this story, you'll understand what is a person supposed to do in such a situation. Because we're always faced with those situations. He says, we were young. We used to hang around the Chazon Ish a lot. He used to be our mentor, he used to teach us. And one time, the Chazon Ish got a little upset at us. And he says, you know, we're a group here of 20 guys. We're all married except for one person who's getting older and older and he's not married. He says, why don't you guys take care of this guy? Why don't you guys find him a shidduch, read him shidduchim, ask your wives to get involved? Why are you just letting him go? He's not getting any younger. And the students saw that it bothered the Chazon Ish, so they decided they're going to make this their project. That they're going to try to find this guy a shidduch, and that's what they're going to focus their time on. And they did. They did. They focused a lot of time. They found him a shidduch. It was amazing. They come to the Chazon Ish. They tell the Chazon Ish, this guy is going to get engaged. It's amazing. He's gone out with this girl, that we found him a girl. Everything is going well. He's going to get engaged. And the Chazon Ish was so happy. He was so happy. So they told him, in a week, there's going to be the Tanaim, where everybody's going to come, they're going to sign. It's going to be the Tanaim. So Chazon Ish says, you know what? Not a problem. I want to be there. But do me a favor, I don't want to linger around. Each minute of my time is just so important to me. We're a couple of blocks away. Just send the messenger as soon as you see the simcha is ready to go and everybody's ready. And it'll take me 5 minutes. I'll get over to the hall and I'll be there by the Tanaim. Great. No problem. So comes the day of the Tanaim. They're all ready. They send somebody out. He comes to the Chazon Ish. And the Chazon Ish happens to be talking to an older couple. So the guy's waiting and waiting, and he can't help but overhear the conversation. And he hears that this older couple is talking to the Chazon Ish. They're telling him, they're asking about the type of string that they should take, the type of they would weave. There were tailors, so they want to know the type of thread that they should take, what type of thread they should buy, the new buttons that came out. And they're speaking to him, and the tailor is showing him all different types of buttons that are coming to the market. And the Chazon Ish is sitting there very calmly and analyzing every button and talking about all the type of threads that, this one he should take 15 bundles, that one. And he's very, very calm. And the person is winking to the Chazon Ish, trying to catch his eyesight to tell him, Rabbi, we got to go. We got to go. They're all waiting for us. And the Chazon Ish is like, almost doesn't see him. And he's calm and collected and like he's got all the time in the world, like nothing is pressing. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Finally, the older couple got all their questions answered. And as soon as they got all the questions answered, the Chazon Ish tells the person, hurry up, let's go, get my hat, we're running. So as they're running to the hall, the person asked the Chazon Ish, they weren't speaking about anything so important. Why didn't you tell them maybe to come back or to? So he says, I want to explain to you something. These two people are Holocaust survivors. They lost everything. They came to this country in Israel. They didn't have anything. This is their only business. I felt it was a tremendous chesed to go ahead and help these people. But Rebbe, what about all those people that are waiting for you? He says, you have to understand how chesed works. Chesed works. These people that are all waiting for me, they are also responsible for this chesed. If this unfortunate couple will come to them, they would also have to drop everything and listen to them. So that by the mere fact that they're waiting for me, they are partners in this chesed. And therefore, they're getting credit for the chesed that I'm doing. They are partners and they're getting credit for it. So Rabbi Shua tells her, Rabbi Shua Brim tells his wife, he says, I want to tell you, for the almana, we all had a responsibility. You, my children, my son-in-laws, my daughter-in-laws, we all had a responsibility for this almana. It wasn't only me. Yes, I happened to be there. But this responsibility was for all of us. So by you waiting, you have to understand that you get the chesed, you're a partner in my chesed. So whenever there's a chesed that really is the responsibility of everybody else, then at that point, you have to reach out to that chesed that everybody's responsible for. So you're right. Of course I wanted to be with my family. Of course I wanted to be with you. Of course I didn't want to be late. But we all had a responsibility over here just because you weren't there. But you're getting credit for it because I was there. The same idea is with Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu had a tremendous responsibility of making sure that Leah would not be embarrassed. He had that responsibility in front of everyone, in front of hundreds of people. Leah was going to be embarrassed. So Rachel understood that Yaakov had this tremendous responsibility. And this chesed was also Yaakov's chesed. And Rachel understood that you're right. Yaakov was also going to pay the price. Yaakov is also part of the equation. And now I'm not ignoring Yaakov. But at the end of the day, Yaakov has this tremendous chiyuv also. And since he has this tremendous chiyuv, this tremendous responsibility, therefore, I feel justified. And God, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, feels that this was the right thing to do. And when it comes to Klal Yisrael being exiled, HaKadosh Baruch Hu listens to Rachel over everybody else. But the truth is, the story doesn't end over there. The story continues. The story that one day, after Rachel and Leah are both married to Yaakov Avinu, Lavan made a deal with him. You'll marry Yaakov the next week, and then you will work for me another 7 years. So Yaakov Avinu was one day, would split up his time between Rachel and Leah, and one day Reuven comes and finds Dudaim. Those Dudaim had certain powers. It was able to expedite, to get a woman pregnant. It was able to assist a woman that had a problem with infertility to make her fertile, and she would be able to have a baby. So Rachel, after Reuven finds these Dudaim, these were miracle workers. These Dudaim had special powers. So she asks Leah, could I have a little bit of those Dudaim so I can get pregnant and I can have a child? And what does Leah respond? Leah responds, is it not enough? Is it not enough that you took my husband? You also want to take my Dudaim? Rachel, excuse me? Leah, excuse me? Really? I don't understand. Why doesn't Rachel now, she's got the greatest response to Leah. Leah, you're only here because of me. You have a short-term memory? You don't remember that you were going to be out in front of hundreds of people? And this is how you respond to me? How come Leah responds that way? She doesn't remember what went on? So the answer is, Rachel never explained to Leah. When she was telling her the simanim, when she was telling her those signs, she just told her in a nonchalant way. She was just explaining to her what the halachas are. And she was telling her, there's a halacha of nida, there's a halacha of challah, there's a halacha of ner, of lighting candles. She never told her that this is the simanim. So when Leah walked in there, she says, wow, shoo, thank goodness I just had this conversation with Rachel a couple of days ago. But Rachel never for a moment told Leah that these are going to be the signs that are going to save you. So Leah had no idea that Rachel was part of this picture. This was the godless of Rachel. And you know what's amazing? If you think about it, Rachel didn't get pregnant for 7 years. All of a sudden now, after this story happens, and she has an opportunity to respond to Leah, and she does not respond, she holds her tongue. She doesn't tell her, Leah, you know what, you and I have to have a conversation now. I want to explain to you really what went on over here. Okay? After the way you responded to me about your son's Dudaim, that you don't want to give me this medicine, let's have a conversation. And she could have put her arm around her and told her a thing or two. But Rachel decides to keep completely quiet. She doesn't respond, doesn't say a word to Leah. When that happens, only then does she get a child. When she's able to keep quiet in such a fashion after hearing such harsh words from Leah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that warrants a child. And therefore, she gets a child. Now, you think about it. You think about what Rachel did for herself. How nobody ever loses from Chesed. Rachel, we know, was a barren woman. Think about what would have happened if she would have not done all this. She would have gotten married to Yaakov. Yaakov would have waited 5 years, no children, 10 years, no children. After 10 years, he would have married another person. Who would he have married? Probably Leah. And Leah would have been giving birth. And Rachel would have been by the side. And Rachel would have been just that tag-along wife after a while that couldn't give birth, that did not have any children. And she would have been completely forgotten from history. But Rachel chose a completely different path. She chose a path that risked her eternity. And because of that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says after 7 years that she's trying to have a baby, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, wow, you were able to keep quiet to the harshest critic after Leah is only there because of you. You're going to have a child. You're going to be remembered forever and ever in Klal Yisrael. You will never be forgotten, Rachel, because you were able to put your feelings aside, even in the face of harshest words. You see from here the power of Chesed. When a person does Chesed for somebody else, a lot of times there's a lot of balancing to do. You don't know. I do this Chesed, but my wife is going to lose. I do this Chesed, but my child is going to lose. What am I going to do? Should I do it? Should I not do it? A person has to, many times, speak it over with his wife and tell his wife, you know, you're part of this Chesed. When I'm away, you're receiving Chesed. You're scoring big. Don't feel bad. We have a responsibility, but it's not only my responsibility. I may be able to do it now. But the truth is, if you're patient enough and you allow me to do it, you're going to get a great part of that reward. And the same thing the other way around. A lady gets involved. She's cooking for people that gave birth. She's cooking for people, unfortunately, that lost a loved one. And it takes time away from the husband, or it takes time away from the children. But we have to remember that sometimes that's a chiyuv. Everybody is responsible for this individual. And since everybody's responsible for this individual, therefore, the right thing to do is many times to help that individual, and the spouse will get tremendous amount of reward for it. Rachel Imenu understood that. And Rachel Imenu, from everyone else, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells her, Mini koilech mi bechi. The Avos are crying. The Avos are advocating on Klal Yisrael's behalf as they kicked out of Eretz Yisrael. God is not interested. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not interested. Moshe Rabbeinu, who's greater? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not interested. Rachel Imenu comes along and God feels defeated. Okay, Mini koilech mi bechi. Stop crying, Rachel. I can't handle it. Why? Because Rachel understood what Chesed is all about. She understood the responsibility of Chesed. She understood the power of not insulting her sister, the power of keeping quiet in the face of the harshest words from her sister after she gave up her entire future to her sister. And with that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, that I can't handle. That already, Rachel, please stop, because I have a plan over here. I will bring them back. Right? The Shavu Banim Ligvulam, but because of who? Because of Rachel. Shavu Banim Ligvulam. Because of Rachel. Rachel, you had that power. I'm going to bring Klal Yisrael back. Mini koilech mi bechi. We should always remember the power of Chesed, what it does, and the power of watching our mouth, the power of self-control could propel us to heights that we never thought would be possible. Even to be able to cause God, so to say, kivyachol, to surrender and say, this I can't tolerate. You're coming to advocate, I can't do anything anymore. We should be zeicha to only do chesed and kindness with every individual that we meet. Amen.
Amen.